Many of you, my dear subscribers, were first attracted to this channel by the spiritual. And together, over the years, we have seen the effect of the spiritual on what happens in the natural. We have seen that with our own eyes. We've witnessed it. The overturn prophetess gave us the overturn prophecies. And at first we wanted to count them. At first we were in a big hurry for these overturns to happen. Yeah, because Kenyans were eager for change. But looking back now, it was the overturn season. And I believe we're still in that season. Look at what has happened today. Jubilee, the mighty Jubilee, is no more. It's split right down the middle. NASA? What is NASA? And the NASA principles scattered. Some of them stumbled and have never recovered to date. There were some very vocal and powerful politicians, who used to shoot their mouths and say anything and get away with it. Today we have seen those same politicians being arrested, spending a night or two in the cell. And the overturn season continues. And today, I want to draw your attention to the month called the month of March. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but the month of March is named, wait for this one, after the Roman god of war. Spiritually speaking, it is a month of war in the spiritual realm. Now we know, those who pray and those who are sensitive to spiritual matters, that over the last few months, there's been very serious spiritual war, over Kenya. Spiritual dynasties are falling and they're resisting. Now, be patient with me. We are coming to the Tuju issue shortly. But I believe it is important, that we understand the spiritual issues, so that we'll understand what is happening in the physical even more. And don't mind the goats making noise in the background. That is my background music for today. Just kidding. Anyway, this is a spiritual video. And of course, I've had very major problems making this recording. The usual place is not available. But we know this is a spiritual war. Anyway, let's continue. And so I need to emphasize, because already there was a very serious spiritual battle, for Kenya in the spiritual realm. You can imagine where that battle has reached during the month of March. It is at its height, at its most fierce. And since we know that nothing can happen in the physical unless it first happens in the spirit, bottom line, expect a lot of explosive, shocking, breaking news during the month of March. During this month of March, expect events that will have far-reaching impact, and impact for a very long time, on the nation called Kenya. Right through history, the month of March has been problematic. Because of course in a battle, you expect a winner. Sometimes evil wins. Julius Caesar was assassinated in the month of March. March 15th, to be precise. That's the Ides of March. March 15th. And some of the people who plotted his assassination were very close to him. And of course the assassination had a far-reaching effect, major impact, on what unfolded after that. Read your history. Let's speed up a little. On March 10th last year, remember what happened? The Ethiopian Airlines crash, in Addis Ababa. Now, that unfortunate accident has had a major impact on the aviation industry. As we speak, the manufacturer of the aircraft involved in that accident, a Boeing, has never been the same again since that accident. The CEO was fired. The MAX range of aircrafts are still grounded to date. And remember, this was one of the fastest selling aircrafts in history. And then on March 9th, 2018, remember what happened? Something happened on the steps of Harambee House in Nairobi that has had effects to this day. Good or bad, for better or for worse, the handshake has changed Kenya. And indeed continues to change Kenya. And I can go on and on and on. Now this next part is heavy. Yeah, and it's not for everybody. I appreciate that. The way a house has got a door, we also have doors in the spiritual realm. For instance, there is a door that you open to get into the month of March. Now, in the physical, in our normal world, as you approach a door, you get signs, that show you what you should expect when you open the door that you're approaching. And I'll give you an example. A few hours ago, I was driving past a certain building. And the person I was with, told me, Chris, that place outside that door looks filthy. It is a sharp contrast, to the other surrounding houses. And then the person added, so and so told me that she lives there. Now this is interesting, they said, because that house, the rents are low. So you have a low income housing, apartment, right next to other apartments, which cost a lot more. That is interesting. It is not common in Kenya. Anyway, my point is, the environment gives a very good idea of what you should expect when you open the door. Now, I have reason to believe that we have been given a sign, a very clear sign, of what we should expect during the month of March 2020. And this is what I have already warned you is heavy. A certain servant of God was given a sign that a certain CS, Cabinet Secretary in Kenya, had passed on. But actually, that CS was alive. In other words, it was a miracle that they were alive. Or to put it in another way, they were alive by the grace of God. Or to even put it more bluntly, God said no. Now, already that tells us a lot, which I want us to quickly cover before we come back to the physical world. Because it will give us evidence, pointers, that will tell us a lot, about the physical. The fact that Almighty God saved that person from death is already an indication that there was a battle. Evil forces wanted that person to pass on, and yet their time had not yet come. And so Almighty God stepped in, and saved this person. That also tells us this was no ordinary accident. Now let's move to the physical. The road accident that Cabinet CS without portfolio, Raphael Tuju, was involved in was serious. He was on his way to the funeral of President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. We know that he was rushed to Kijabe Hospital. We also know that the fact that a cabinet colleague, CS Amina Mohammed, was in a vehicle right behind him made a lot of difference. Because she was able to get to him very quickly and make arrangements very quickly for him to be rushed to hospital. Had that vehicle not been behind the cabinet CS, Raphael Tuju, things would have been very different. Because you know what happens after an accident? You have to wait for the police, people rush to the scene, they're not sure who this is, etc., etc. We also know that at Kijabe Hospital, an emergency procedure had to be performed on the spot right away to save his life. And then he was airlifted later to Nairobi, where he spent quite a lot of time in the intensive care unit. That is for people in critical condition. And then he was airlifted to London for what we were told was specialized treatment. Now, last Saturday, the cabinet secretary arrived back in the country, quietly, on a Kenya Airways flight that touched down at around 5 a.m. in the morning. But Bwana Tuju talked to the press a few days ago, and he said that he had passed out, and in fact he woke up in London. He also kept saying something else. He said he was alive only by the grace of God. And he added, that he had been involved in an aircraft accident, in 2003 in Busia. Remember that? Where others died. But Raphael Tuju survived, along with other people like Martha Karua. But Bwana Tuju said that the injuries from that aircraft accident were not as serious as the injuries he received from this road accident. And he said he was still in a lot of pain. Now, details of this accident are still very scanty, but we know a few things. Number one, Raphael Tuju's vehicle was almost stationary when it was hit very hard by a matatu. It was approaching a junction. Now we know that modern cars have things called airbags, which save lives, many lives every year. But a number of factors came into play, so that there was no airbag to cushion the impact, against the body of the cabinet secretary. And the truth is, because I don't like speculating on this channel, I like to verify my information before I bring it to you. And so I'm still looking into this. But what I can tell you is that there are a lot of question marks about this accident and how it happened. There are a lot of factors that need to be explained in order to make sense. But we are so grateful that Almighty God stepped in and saved the life of our cabinet secretary. I know there are many on this channel who will say this was not a miracle. In fact, what happened is that modern medicine, treatment in London, saved the minister. But if you open your eyes for a minute, and review what I've told you, then you'll have no doubt on your mind. This was nothing short of a miracle by Almighty God. In my view, this was a sign for the month of March. Incidentally, Raphael Tuju got back into the country during the month of March. And in my view, the month of March is going to have a lot of things happening. The battles are going to be fierce, but the victor in every instance will be Almighty God. Good will win over evil. Now, some of you listening in, have favorite political candidates, favorite presidential candidates, whom you don't really know what they're involved in. Okay, let me back up a little so that we understand. We know that in Kenya, during general elections, there's a mass exodus of witch doctors from Tanzania into Kenya. We know that there are many MPs, MCAs, governors, senators, women reps, etc., who consult witch doctors in order to win elections. And we have even had some of these politicians confess, they go for prayer somewhere, and they confess what they were doing. We also know that there are many altars of evil in Kenya. And some of these altars of evil are used by powerful people in Kenya to get their way, to win elections, to sway the masses, etc., etc. These altars are losing their strength. These altars are being removed by Almighty God. And so, don't be surprised if the politician you really love during this month of March something very crazy happens to them. Maybe they suddenly lose their influence. Something happens that is difficult to explain. Just remember, in case that happens, that during this month of March, there is fierce battle, and altars, evil altars, are being uprooted. Yes, we're in overturn season, and the overturns will continue to happen. But during the month of March, they'll be at a very heightened rate. During the month of March, they will happen in a very spectacular way. Because we have been told nobody can stop reggae. We have been told the march of some people to State House is unstoppable. But let me tell you the truth. Both those two are very stoppable. What is not stoppable is Almighty God and His plans for Kenya. What is not stoppable is the revival that is coming to Kenya, and Kenya being used as a springboard for revival. Now, in my small spiritual thinking, I'm thinking that for that to happen, evil altars in Kenya that have ruled over this country for many years, that have controlled the masses in this country for many years, must be uprooted. And I think that uprooting will be violent. I'm thinking that miraculous things will happen during the month of March. That is the sign we've already seen. Yeah. Overturn, overturn, overturn. Loading. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.